Ooh, my, what a day. The inexplicably OpenTunes started crashing on this machine. It's like there was nothing new installed. Um, just inexplicable. Was getting a little frustrated with that. But fortunately, I'm using what's called OpenTunes Experimental, which is a build Jeremy Bullock created, I think back in November, or thereabouts. It's been by far the most stable and reliable version of OpenTunes I've used. And so, actually, I've got a video playing over here that I'm going to turn down. So another YouTube video. Basically, you have a video playing to distract my parrot so he doesn't get all chirpy. But the reality is that when I'm doing these videos and I'm talking, that also serves the same purpose. So the odds are he's not going to get too chirpy as long as I'm talking to my YouTube audience. So, okay, so where we're at here is we did this shot yesterday, which came out quite nicely. And now we just got to catch this shot here. So, what time is it? 11:23. So, my basic goal, my workflow objective, is to knock out an entire shot in less than an hour, preferably about 40 minutes-ish. So that means that I want to condition myself to work very, very quickly. Alright, so Zen's got a little bit of a snarky attitude here. And I'm not satisfied with the expression. I wonder. See, this is a I'm trying to get this. And like, what's he saying? He's saying, if they even are Shinobi. Now in the other version, okay, I had kind of similar to this. So I want to have this snarky attitude, but what I'm playing with here is giving him a little bit more smile. Obviously, we've got to address his hair situation here a little bit. And I would say his eye situation. Now, obviously, and I've fouled this up pretty badly. Obviously, I could just use the prior shot. I really could. I'm choosing not to in this case because, as I sort of alluded to, I'm sort of just practicing, training. I've sort of found my pace, and I want to train that. So that means I don't really mind starting from scratch a little bit on these shots, just because I'm sort of challenging myself here, right? And what I've found is generally the scenes actually come out better. You know, it's like you redo something, it always comes out a little better, you know. So it's like you're all bummed out because you got to redo it or something. But it usually pays off. So I would say I'm in that place in my development as a creator of this type of material where practice makes perfect. Doing a little more is generally well advised. He's got a little bit of a... So I often mention my amazing ineptitude when it comes to my own characters, being able to reproducibly draw them the same way multiple times or from multiple positions. But that's getting better. That's getting the little bit of a snarky attitude I was looking for. So now I want to say that Akari's going to be actually standing behind him now. In the previous shot, let's see. Yeah, I mean, we could just sort of fudge the positioning slightly, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a straight line up here and make her put the point of her chin there. So now her chin, she tends to have a little bit of a squared off sort of shape to her head. So then usually once you get that right, it seems to be pretty straightforward to generate the rest. Now, when my computer was acting stupid, before I went into my archives and actually found a backup. See, this version of OpenTunes is portable. In other words, I don't have to install it. I can just copy the entire installation elsewhere. The problem is if it gets corrupted, what do you do? Well, fortunately, on my web server, I had a backup of it. So that was helpful. Okay, Akari with the old trapezoidal eyes. A little bit of a, let's call it a mildly annoyed expression on her face, and I would like to do that. Shift her mouth down a little bit. Okay, so let's just get the basic structure here, and then we have to go block, block. These are the fronts of her hands. Okay, and then she's got her strap right here, obviously. Save that. Okay. All right. The only thing we are going to animate in this shot is going to be the lip sync. So this is fortunately a fairly straightforward shot where all we have to do is get our characters right, and we are in business. So feels pretty good. Bam. So now what I'm going to do is make this layer or level, whatever you want to call it, a little more lighter, more transparent. Okay, so now I'm going to put this here. Do I want to use the My Paint brushes or not? Well, here I believe I didn't. Here I believe I did. You know, everything looks good. So let's just rock and roll with this. Okay. Okay, so obviously we're going to have to paint in the whites of the eyes. Whoops, my hand jerked. Not quite. No, that's a little too juvenile. That's better. Boom. So I mentioned the other day that I was kind of surprised how when I went much faster, and actually what I was doing was I was putting the mouse wheel, I've got my left hand on the mouse right now, so with my right hand I can draw really close, really see what I'm doing, and with my left hand I'm using the mouse to just dynamically zoom in and out at my pleasure. So boom, boom, boom. That's over there. His mouth is obviously going to be lip sync mode. That ear's not quite right, so fix that. Alright. Boom, 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 boom. So yeah, I think what I was trying to say is that I had noticed that my actual subjectively, my final results seem to be better. I like the way things are looking when I'm more just really rapid on the inking part. As you probably know, if you ever watch my channel, ink and paint is the part of the process I like the least, probably because it's the part I feel I'm not the, that I'm the worst at. And I do want to improve, so there's that. Boom, 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 boom. And a lot of times what I find is going fast means actually working a lot more in straight lines. I'm not trying to do curves as much. I'm trying to basically build it up more with straight lines. Something about drawing accurate curves is really hard, freehand. I might be stating the stupidly obvious there, but okay, so now what we've got is boom, boom, like that, and then we'll just indicate the fingers, and then here we're going to have a similar situation, but here we'll put a little bit more of an indication of the shape of the fingers. Boom, boom, boom. How about a little bit of thumb action? Not bad. We like a little thumb action. All right, boom, boom. Okay, not a bad idea to just do a fill check, which I have mapped to the Alt-F key. So this is cool. Now in her case, we can draw her mouth in there, since her mouth is not going to be moving in this shot. Okay. A little bit more than that. So in this case, what I'm doing is a Toons raster level. And again, fill check, looks good. Alright, let's turn the sketch off, and let's go ahead and boop. Let's put in his lip sync. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick to my usual policy lately, which has been to just draw the lip sync poses as I go. In other words, I'm not knocking myself out trying to reuse them. I need to know what his line is, though, even if they are Shinobi. Okay. If they even are Shinobi. Alright, got no idea if that worked. Let's try. If they even are Shinobi. Okay. So now what I do is use Alt down arrow. I'm just... Okay, seems like that's a little early. Probably something like that. That looks pretty good. Okay, so now let's go back and critique the individual mouth shapes, and just be a little pickier now. That one's probably not like the best ever. Alright, so now also one thing I've been doing is just filling this in the simplest way, basically. Sometimes I put teeth in there, but in this shot, I think maybe not. I don't know. Why don't we go ahead and do a... Let's do this. Let's make the coloring on this a little bit transparent, so we're going to see his... see his skin shining through and whatnot. Alright, let's just replace this with this. Alright, that'll probably work. I don't know if that's going to work or not. I think it will. Go to actual size. Yeah, that'll probably work. Okay, so now, going back to this drawing, I have to say that I really screwed this up. So, anyway, you know, what I'm kind of was getting at earlier is that I'm finding that it's much better to go as fast as possible and then go back and fix things than to try to get it right the first time. And the reason for that is quite simple. No matter how hard you try, you never get it right the first time. So therefore, why try? It'd be better to favor expediency and just sort of accept the fact that everything's going to have a sort of a second draft to it. Okay? I think I got it. So now what I need is the colors, and that's pretty easy. For this shot, I'm going to need his... by the way, we need to take the outlines and make them lighter, more of a charcoal. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go Control C. There's skin, Zen's eyes, Zen's costume, Zen's hair, Akari's eyes and nighty, and eyes in general. Okay, so now what we can do is just go through here, and with the R key I'm going to just sample these. So let's make this skin, nighty. I'll call that the hair, although I'll probably make it a little lighter. We'll take the ninja's hair and make it and modify it a little bit for Zen's costume, because it's a little more yellow than orange, but it is definitely on the light side. Zen's hair is basically very black with just a little bit of extra blue. What am I missing? Don't know. Okay, so let's go back here. This was a mistake. Let's do the skin here. And now we'll just close this off and see what we have. Okay, so first of all, his garment. Oops. Darn it, that's not what I meant to do. Can I undo that? Yes. Okay, I want to hit the fill tool. Fill tool. I don't want freehand, and I actually want this on areas, not lines and areas. So what I'm going to do is, I knew that was going to color his hair, and I also know that the flesh tone here is not really correct. But it does help to just go through and you have less leaking problems if you just go ahead and color in everything. Can't remember who gave me that tip, but it's a very good tip. Get everything colored in, then go and worry about specific colors. Okay, so then I want to say that this flesh tone is kind of lame, so I want it to be a little more orangey. Let's go ahead and try to come up with a little algorithm for this. I'm going to say about a third of the way between yellow and red, made much lighter, seems to tilt too much to the yellow. So I'm going to say exactly halfway between. Okay, that's not too bad. Now I'm going to wind up tweaking it a little bit because they're supposed to be in a fairly darkened situation. But I think that'll do for the moment. So now this would be her nightie and her irises, which just happen to be the same color. And here I'm going to take the V key, which cut, stop. It's supposed to be areas only. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a border there so that I can then fill it. So V key, fill. V key, fill. So yeah, sometimes you just have to do some manual coloring. Alright, now I knew that was going to happen, but I figured I'd try it anyway just for kicks and giggles. And now what we're looking at is, do we have leaks? And it seems as if we have kind of severe leaks, actually. I wonder why. Oh, there might be, that might be one right there. Yep, that was the culprit. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say that's going to be her hair. Okay, Zen's, oh yeah. Okay, so this is going to be Zen's hair, and there's definitely going to be some patching required. Actually, that might be all I need. Yep, that turns out to be all I need. Wrong. Z. It's actually that color that I wanted. Okay, and alright, so the fact that I patched it with the wrong color means that I cannot fill it. That's a characteristic of the paintbrush tool as opposed to the brush tool. So anyway, he's got these sort of steel blue eyes that are fairly light. And of course, we want to give it the boy some whites in his eyes. So that takes care of that. Okay. So now what we have is, well, we can take this and bring it back up. And now the basic issue we can see is that there is, you know, obviously the colors are not like stellar. Alright, so now let's just make some adjustments to compensate for the actual lighting situation these guys find themselves in. And it's partly, it's kind of just by feel, really. Okay, and I feel like maybe this is too light. That's not bad. The whites of the eyes seem a little bright to me. Okay, let's go with that. Now, one thing I do want to tweak is I want to have that in there. And now we need to go to shadows. Okay, so shadow layer, just go boop. And what we're going to do, by the way, let's save this. Save early, save often, and I've been doing neither, which is kind of dangerous behavior. All right, I'm going to turn the alpha down on this like majorly. And then actually, let's put this at 1, just because I have a feeling that's what's going to be called for. All right. You might wonder, why am I so freaking zoomed out. And the answer is because I was just being too lazy and not taking half a second to zoom in. Okay, I meant to switch that and it did not switch, which is a little irritating. Okay, but one thing I can do is go back into these shadows and just use the eraser to tighten them up. Okay, and we're going to add a masking plug-in, I guess you'd say, with the we're going to add a mask on the shadow layer so that these guys' shadows are clipped to their bodies. So the shadows, so whenever I go outside of the lines, it actually doesn't matter, because ultimately it will not be outside the lines. So now, one thing I do want to also add though is a highlight layer. Okay, and darn it, I always do this. Man, I always do this. I always, and I gotta make this lines and areas. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna take the B key and I'm gonna use this brush. I'm gonna do it this way. Let's see if I get away with it. I don't think I will, but I'm gonna try. Okay, that's probably okay if I go back and see. The problem with this, as you can kind of see, is that the OpenTunes really only lets you have a single, if you will, sort of a sub-layer of ink. I don't know how else to say it. So the fact that the pigtails are actually brush strokes means that the strokes are fighting each other here. 27. We're in good shape though, I will say. I wanted to hit 40 minutes on a shot, and right now I've got about 10 minutes to wrap this up, and I believe I will be able to do just that. So here let's erase that shadow. Gonna be a little bit pickier, but now let's take and make sure that the pigtails create a shadow appropriately. Okay, and then Zen, we got all kinds of fun work to do on him. Boom, boom, boom. We want to really give the hair some texture. It's amazing how much production value you gain from shadows. You know, it's really crazy what a big difference it makes. So we'll go there, there, and then, you know, the thing is, you can always have different levels of shadow. Now I'm going to make these a little more transparent. So if, for example, I wanted a little darker shadow here, you know, I can have more than one level of it. Now, is that going to make him look like he's got some kind of gray hair going on? I don't know. I don't consider myself stellar at dealing with anime shadows. I'm sorry, hair. Don't even know what I'm saying. Sometimes it helps to just zoom out though. You know, you're sort of thinking like a matte painter. You want to just put in those little touches of texture that seem to just magically make everything pop. Okay, right here, my sense is that that's more like it. Okay. Save early, save often. Control R. Okay, so let's see how that plays. Okay, the only thing I'm objecting to at this juncture would be, I feel like I want a little bit more shadowing under her eyes, sort of like that. And then, gosh, what if, let's take this white, let's make a copy of it. I should really be labeling my colors here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give these guys, whoa, that was a little large. Okay, let's go back to the brush. And I don't know if it's going to let me make it. No, it's not going to let me make it small enough. So let's just, for fun, grab, let's do the pencil. So we can sort of ease it in maybe. Okay, it doesn't want to let me do that. Let's try technical drawing pen. There we go. Alright, so now let's go to actual size. Okay, that's actually alright. Let's do that. And then all we have to do is go in and now we just use the opacity to ease it in. Cool beans. Other than this is a little unbalanced. Boom. So the reason I'm not doing a meticulous job of labeling is because I'm moving sufficiently quickly that frankly there's not much I have to remember. Do I want to give her just a hint of a nose? I think so. Don't like where I put it. There we go. And holy mackerel, maybe. Okay, go to F3, and what we want to do is we want to take the shadow layer, which is column 6, and we want to add a multiply, blending I and O, multiply. And it's the shadows in the foreground. The background would be column 4, which is our characters. And that way, when it renders, again, the shadows are now clamped to the characters, which means you can't accidentally go outside the lines. Now, what am I seeing here? I think I'm seeing my sketch. Yes, there we go. So, now one question that remains is why do we not see our mouth? It's actually being covered up by the shadow. Oh, wait a minute. Did I clamp the wrong layer? I think I might have. Nope. Column 6 is the lip sync. So what I'm going to do, just to cover myself here, is I'm going to make the... Let's make the mouth really transparent and see what happens. Okay, so yeah, so let's just split the difference and bring it up until it feels about right. Okay. Cool beans. So Control R, and I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, that we have another less than 40-minute shot, although there is one thing still wrong. It's here in the shadow layer. This is the highlight. Let me see here. Okay, why are they being clipped? Oh, because it's multiply. It's multiply mode. What if, let's change it to overlay. If we change this to overlay, we're gonna get both the highlights and the shadows. So I believe, indeed, we did, but the highlights are quite a bit quieter than we really want them to be. So I'm just going to ease those in. And frankly, the shadows are quieter than we want them to be. So as you can see, the overlay mode. The overlay, as you can see, also adds a certain amount of saturation. So certain amount of saturation in the shadows. Frankly, I would say I'm a little tossed here. It seems to me that the correct thing to do, the correct thing to do is to switch this back. Let's replace this again with multiply. Let's get our shadows about where we want them. Okay, and then let's just insert another level for highlights. So here we go. And we're going to go raster, boom. This color is going to be white, but it's going to be highly transparent. And let's go, and by the way, in this level, I'm going to take this palette entry and delete everything. Okay, that way we're back to here for our highlights. Yeah, it's funny how just that little bit of highlight can really just make things pop nicely. Okay, and because this is in a separate layer where we're not going outside the lines, there's no need to put the masking plug-in in there. That I don't like at all. Yeah, getting a little out of control there, Dave. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is capture the sort of steel blue look of his hair. I think that's pretty good. I think we're in good shape. So save it. It can be my computer, L drive, anime, render. And we're going to go down here. And this is going to be 119.0119.mp4. So if I'm not mistaken, obviously the possibility does exist that we're going to have to go back and tweak things later. But it appears to me that we have another shot completed. 37 minutes. So in just a minute, that'll be done rendering and we can cut it into the show. Now, this line, let's see. Let's just go to that line of dialogue. What we need to do is just cut this back here. Like that. Then when we drag the next one in, it'll land right where it's supposed to be. So, I definitely think this version of the shot is looking better than the version I had before, which was done in Blender. Not discounting Blender though. I mean, I'm definitely, especially with OpenTunes crashing like it did, the big benefit you get with Blender with the grease pencil is that the Blender, the project goes with the file. In other words, it's not saving the images externally like OpenTunes does. So it's easy to, if you're working collaboratively, you can send the Blender file to your friend and they can just open it up and get to work, which is pretty cool. So, okay, looks like we're just about there. I need to open my image browser, which for me is the Faststone image viewer. And I'm simply browsing to the render folder. I'm zipping down to the end. I'm looking for the shot I just rendered. Okay, so now this is kind of interesting. I wonder, I'm going to go to Blender here and I'll show this. We got this shot that I just rendered, but I am curious about one thing. What shot was that? Anyway, let's go back here. I have to say I'm happy with the fact that the overall production quality seems to be going up somewhat. Okay, how did we wind up seeing that through there? Well, you can see that it's not, there is no gap. So you say, well, what the heck's going on? We do have a problem, though. And I'll get to that problem in a second. Okay, you can see all of our highlights disappeared. So unfortunately, let me save this. And then what I'll do is I'll just open a new session so that I'll be able to resave my... Okay, yeah, I see what happened. Look at this. Boom. I did not stretch the highlight layer all the way through the shot. Okay, so at the risk of being nitpicky, while I'm here, there's one thing I'm thinking about. And if it turns out, I'm going to save early, save often here. If this turns out to be a major hassle, then I'll retreat from doing it because it's not that important. But what I'm thinking is, I'm really kind of wanting to extend his chin down just a little bit. Okay, so if I'm going to do that, then I want to fill that area, and then let's just sample the skin, and then use the paintbrush to, and really it shouldn't be at 3, it should be a little bigger than that. Let's just go ahead and fill this stuff in. Okay, I think that does look better. Cool beans. Save all. Control R. We'll resave the render, which of course was 119, shot number 119, there it is. Save it, overwrite that, and with that, our work today is done on this shot. Now I may come back and do another shot later, but one thing you can be sure of is there will be